Yo, what is up? It's your man, Sean Patel, walking through the mean streets of Santa Monica, California. The very mean streets of Santa Monica, California. And let's get right to it, man. Wow, I was totally right about Shakur versus Zepeda and totally fucking wrong about Berlanga versus Shiraz. Like, epically wrong. This fight was wild. Nothing happened that I anticipated. I thought, because logic would think the 6'3" guy would have to successfully out-jab the shorter fighter. I thought Shiraz would have to win this fight behind his jab and pick Berlanga off on the outside, where you would think looking at their bodies is what he has to do, right? No, Berlanga out-jabbed Hamza Shiraz in this fight. But then Shiraz did something I did not expect at all. I expected the opposite. I said Shiraz wins this fight on the outside with his jab. Berlanga has to cut the distance and get close to him, and then that's how he makes his power count. But you know what happened? Hamza Shiraz let him get close to him and made his power count and changed the fight with a left uppercut. Wait, I'm sorry. Did I say left uppercut? I meant left hook for Shiraz. One thing I got to give Hamza Shiraz tremendous credit for in this fight, before we get to the tactics with Andy Lee and all that stuff, was his mentality. His mentality, yeah? He came, it seemed to me, that he came into the ring with a different psychology than the Carlos Adames fight. He said, I'm not losing this fucking fight tonight because I beat myself. It ain't happening. Win or lose, knocking him out or getting knocked out, I'm not keeping my hands into my pockets like I did down the stretch against Adames. So he obliged Berlanga to let him in. He's like, go ahead, come in. He held his ground from the center of the ring from round one. Didn't even really try stepping to his left behind the jab that much. And then Berlanga, when he opened up with sweeping shots with the right hand, with the left hook, he looked very explosive, that if he landed on Shiraz, it would be a problem. And Berlanga early on was moving his head more and was getting underneath shots by Shiraz. Shiraz in the third round started to open up with combinations, and Berlanga was threatening by getting underneath him and trying to come up with a hook. And Shiraz says, I don't give a fuck about that shit. We could keep exchanging on the inside. It's my night. And then he catches Berlanga with an uppercut. He started to put combinations together, and it was like he was saying, Berlanga, I don't care about this head movement. Your defense ain't that good. I'm going to catch you. And he kept letting his hands go, wasn't worried about the threat of the left hook coming underneath, moving his head, and he caught him with an uppercut, dropped him another time to end the fourth. The fight was really over, but they gave Berlanga a little extra time. They let him come out for the fifth. And then Shiraz throws this beautiful left hook just to set up a straight right hand right down the pipe. And that was all she wrote. That was it for Edgar Berlanga. I picked Berlanga. I'm from New York. Maybe that's all that was. No, but I thought between Shiraz being gun-shy down the stretch against Adames, fighting a younger, bigger man than Adames, I knew Berlanga didn't have the craft on the front foot that Adames did, but I thought he could approximate it. And then with his youth and power against a guy in his first fight at 68, make the difference with that power when it found a home. But credit to Shiraz, man. He was the one with really a huge opportunity in front of him. Berlanga already got a bite at the apple with Canelo. Turkey wants to match him against Canelo. The question is, will Canelo win against Crawford? Because his win against Berlanga doesn't look as good now. And that's been happening to a lot of Canelo wins lately. And to be fair, Crawford too. I mean, Spence hasn't fought since he fought Crawford. Madrimov ran for 9 rounds from Ortiz before he ran out of gas and had to exchange in the last 3 against Ortiz. But he was backing Crawford up and ran for his life for 9 rounds against Ortiz. But still, for Canelo, Munguia, since he beat him, got knocked out by Shiraz. Unimpressive in a rematch, got busted for PEDs. Berlanga had a 1-round knockout against, Ortiz, who hadn't fought in forever, and then got slept. I mean, what Shiraz did to Berlanga was more impressive by far than what Canelo did to Berlanga. So makes you look at Canelo's performance against Berlanga, which I was giving him credit for a week ago, like, I don't know, but that's besides the point. We knew Shiraz had hand speed, really fast hands, very sharp, new trainer with Andy Lee. I knew he had an uppercut, but I didn't know he could be that consistent on the inside and win that battle. That was shocking a little bit, even though in retrospect, he always had a good uppercut. So, incredible performance by Hamza Shiraz, and as long as Canelo can beat Crawford, which we have no idea if that's going to happen, he's going to get to fight Canelo for the undisputed super middleweight title. And now you got to know that's who Turkey really wants to win that Canelo-Crawford fight, so he can match him with Shiraz. But among other fights, But to the real main event of the night, Shakur Stevenson, Williams Zepeda. What a performance by Shakur Stevenson. What a damn good performance by Willie Zepeda. I thought he deserved a 117, 111. He winds up losing 118, 110, 119, 109. But early, I mean, he had the best moment anyone's ever had against Shakur. He lifted his head with a jab, which Shakur was a little off balance, and got the crowd crazy. And no one's had a moment like that really against Shakur. And in the first 3 or 4 rounds alone, he hit Shakur more times in 3 or 4 rounds than I think Shakur's been hit his entire professional career. So Zepeda basically did everything he possibly could to win that fight. It's just Shakur really showed us he backed everything up, man. It was like, oh, you're talking about Sugar Ray Robinson. I don't know if the boxing angels are going to like that. But what offset that a little bit is he never kissed Turkey's ass. He was defiant about that, wore the Tom and Jerry hat, backed up everything he said he was going to do. He studied Zepeda well. He said, this isn't Valdez. I know I'm going to be forced to fight. Floyd Mayweather once told Haney, keep it on the outside as much as you can. That's how you don't take punishment. But some guys, you don't have a choice. They're going to close the gap. You're going to have to fight. And Shakur anticipated that and planned accordingly. And through more combinations in this fight, and then the rest of his fights combined, showed us we knew he had skill. We knew he had pedigree. But he showed us that grit and that ability in the pocket that as long as his hands hold, I mean, the combinations he was throwing tonight were superb, super sharp. And then as the fight went on, it started to look like De La Hoya Mayweather, where Floyd and being Shakur is just rolling everything against the ropes. He had one sequence earlier in the fight that was straight out of De La Hoya Mayweather. He was rolling everything and then countered with his brick hand, buckled Zepeda, and then Zepeda, like Oscar, just kept throwing and throwing and throwing, was relentless, didn't get away from his jab, tried to jab his way through the shoulder roll. But Stevenson in the second half of the fight gained control. He gained control midway through the fight. And the fight simmered down a little bit because of Stevenson's control, but it was entertaining throughout. And I'm just happy for Shakur Stevenson, man. I said, I don't know, man. You and Berlanga are setting yourselves up for an epic meltdown, going against Ray Robinson, just all the talk, and you got to back it up. And he did. So nothing but credit to Shakur for that. And as for the Gervonta fight, that fight lost a lot of luster in the first half of 2025. Tank drew with Roach. People weren't loving what they're seeing from Shakur. If Tank, can allegedly keep his hands to himself and stay on track for this Roach rematch and make some adjustments, and win that fight and look good, then him and Shakur is a bigger fight than it's ever been. And now, because of how Shakur performed against Zepeda, a lot of us will still expect him to not fight Tank like he fought Zepeda, but people could be more convinced now that it could be an entertaining fight. It could be an entertaining fight, so we'll see. But Tank's got to come back and handle his business. Beginning of the year, I favored Tank in that fight, but Shakur fought brilliant tonight. I just want to give him a lot of props because I was like, man, you put yourself on the spot, bro, especially with the Robinson stuff and everything. And I thought there was potential, even though I picked Shakur. My final pick was Shakur by decision in the most entertaining fight of his career. I originally said about Shakur in this fight, even though I picked him to win by decision, that this had potential to backfire on him like Broner-Maidana, to become a Maidana-Broner kind of fight. Instead, it was really like Mayweather-Maidana, the first fight, and Shakur won the fight in that manner. These edits are coming after, this is post-editing now. I didn't feel like walking back the hard streets of Santa Monica, so I had to make a couple of these edits back at the crib. Continue watching this. But he pulled through in the end and just gave us an awesome fight, an awesome performance. I just want to give him a lot of praise and props for that. Hold the feet to the fire, keep them accountable. But when they deliver with flying colors, all you got to do is give them a lot of respect for their performance. And again, respect to Zepeda. He fought a very good fight, just clearly lost against the better fighter who had the best performance of his career. I think now he surpassed his Jamel Herring performance. That was my favorite Shakur outing. I think the round robin people probably want to see right now is Shakur, Kid Austin, Abdullah Mason, and Tank. No disrespect to Raymond Murataya, IBF lightweight champion, but Mason hasn't fought for his title yet. He'll fight for his first title against Sam Noakes in November. He's younger than these other guys, but I think Kid Austin, Shakur, and Tank right now is kind of the pairing people want to see. Obviously, Shakur and Tank is probably the biggest one, but Kid Austin's in the mix now too. Abdullah's coming up. Lightweight's getting hot again. As for the rest of the card, I thought Morell was fortunate to get out of there with a decision. I thought between the knockdown that Katayv won that fight. But Boxing Angel's at play. Boxing Angel said, well, we heard about that little test back in Russia with the IBA and how you technically aren't supposed to be cleared for 2 years, and here you are fighting. We're going to go ahead and give Morell a little bit of a gift here, benefit of the doubt, since he showed a lot of dog and pulled it out in the last 2 rounds. But really, I thought the fight was scored correctly. Morell lost the fight in the 5th round when he was starting to figure some things out and rip some good shots to the body and head and figure out what was going to work against Katayv. And then he got lackadaisical on the back foot and got dropped by a right hand. I thought that should have cost him the fight right there, but he gets the benefit of the doubt. Morell is a talented guy, but has to shore up his tactics early on. The jab was landing, and he couldn't be consistent boxing early. And then he was finding his rhythm behind on the cards in the 5th, and then he gets lackadaisical and gets dropped. He was fortunate to win that fight. As for Matias and Puyo, you know, Puyo, I picked him, but I didn't expect Matias's defense to tighten up. And I thought that Puyo, he needed to establish his jab to win this fight because he's not fleet-footed. That's why Gary Antoine was able to back him into corners and ropes over and over again. But he surprised us in Gary Antoine and fought so well in those positions that he pulled off a close win against Gary Antoine. Against Matias, he wasn't going to win that war of attrition tonight. And if he couldn't establish his jab, and again, he's not a super fast-footed fighter, so he's not just going to turn Matias all night. He couldn't keep Matias off, and Matias made it a war of attrition. That's his fight. He got the better of it. Puyo, though, man, is a dog. I really admire his character in the ring. He tried to not take no for an answer. You know, even when he wasn't able to fight his fight, there was a lot of times he was trying to get more leverage on his punches than Matias, who just was throwing arm punches, but that worked for him on the inside. So that was a hell of a fight. Matias is a 2-time world champion. His defense tightened up in this one. He was tired late, but styles make fights, you know, we know that, and he got this one on Puyo. But I got a lot of respect for Puyo in defeat. So that about does it. We move on to Pacquiao Barrios and Usyk Dubois this upcoming week. Keep it locked in on the channel. And again, totally right about Stevenson Zepeda and totally wrong about Berlanga Shiraz. That was a really good night of boxing. Peace.